ClancyPasta presents I Got Interviewed by a Local Reporter, and Now My Life is Ruined. Written by nslewis and narrated by Clancy. It was a Tuesday morning, which meant that it was Bobby's day to take the kids to school. I watched them drive off in his Camry, then closed the door, went into the kitchen, and poured out a much-needed cup of coffee. I wasn't very far into it and was still half asleep when my doorbell rang. I muttered something, stood up, and tightened up my bathrobe. On the way to the door, I caught a look of myself in the hallway mirror. I looked like shit. Bags under my eyes, crazy cowlick sticking out of the top of my head, a patchy and ugly beard beginning to take over my face. I sighed and opened the door. To my complete bewilderment, a sharply dressed and made-up woman was standing there, with a man holding a camera just behind her. "Good morning, Mr. Clark," she said. "I'm Jackie Ling with WAKZ-TV. I apologize for the short notice, but we are doing a segment on single fathers, and I would like to interview you for it." I couldn't believe it. Jackie Ling. I watched her on the TV every evening, and sometimes thought about her later when I was in bed alone. Sure," I said. "Can I have a few minutes to clean up?" Jackie looked me over and then smiled. "No," she said, "this is perfect, just what we're looking for. I'll bet your mornings are pretty busy, aren't they?" "Well," I began. "Hold on," she said, turning her head to the man behind her. "Jim, start rolling." She held the microphone up to my face. I felt a little lightheaded and embarrassed. "Well," I said, "to tell you the truth, yes, mornings are pretty tough. On days when I have the kids." "Great," said Jackie, holding up her hand. "Tell us a little about that. I spoke with Claire Brown, head of the PTA, and she told me about the rather unique arrangement that you have with your neighbor. Can you tell us about that?" "Sure," I said, relaxing just a little bit. "See, Bobby, he's a single dad like me." "That's Robert McHugh?" "Yes, Robert McHugh. He lives right there," I said, pointing from the open doorway across the street to his house. "He has 2 boys, I have 1, so one day we were both at the park down the street with the kids, and we recognized each other and started talking. Sort of commiserating, you know?" "Commiserating," repeated Jackie. "That's good. Go on." "So we decided that we would try something out. I would have the kids for one day, and Bob would take them the next. They'd come over in the morning, and I'd drive them to school, then pick them up in the afternoon. They'd do their homework and play or whatever, and I'd feed them dinner, get them ready for bed, all that. Then in the morning, I would get them ready for school, make them eat their breakfast, pack their lunches, make sure they're dressed. Then I'd send them across the street, and Bob would take over for the day." "And am I right in guessing that you had the boys last night, and spent this morning getting them ready?" asked Jackie. "Yeah, that's right," I said. "Can you tell me a little about how you feel now that the boys are gone?" she asked. "Well, it's always a little sad sending them off in the morning. We have such a good time together, "Jim, cut," said Jackie to the cameraman. "And you, Mr. Clark. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna need you to cut too. Cut the shit." What? I asked, shocked. "Have you watched my segment before?" "Sure," I said. "Every night." "Good," said Jackie. "Then you know I don't do fluffy bullshit. I take on real issues affecting real people and present them in a real way. I'm looking at you now, and do you know what I see?" "What do you see?" I asked nervously. "I see a good man giving his all to 3 young boys. You look like shit," she laughed. "Excuse me. You were actually a good-looking dude. Very good-looking dude. If I weren't married." She laughed again. "But you have bags under your eyes. You look like you haven't slept for a week. You've got to be honest here. The whole point of the segment is how hard it is to be a single father raising a child on his own in modern America." Okay, I understand." "Good," said Jackie. Jim, roll. She paused a beat and then asked again, "So, how do you feel now that the boys are gone?" "Well, to be honest," I said, "I'm a little relieved." I watched as Jackie gave a big smile and an encouraging nod. Sometimes it gets a little overwhelming and, 3 boys, just nonstop energy. And they don't listen to you. It can get overwhelming, I just need a break. And now I get one. And I get to regather myself. "Perfect," said Jackie. "So, the arrangement is great. I get that break and by the next day, I'm ready to do it again." "Is it though?" asked Jackie. "Is the arrangement great?" "Sure," I said. "But by my count, Mr. McHugh has 2 boys, and you only have 1. Hardly seems fair." No, it's fine, really." "Cut," said Jackie. "Come on, Mr. Clark, we've been through this. I need honesty." "I'm not going to badmouth Bobby on TV," I said. "I don't think you understand what a goldmine of a story this is," said Jackie. "Every family has its tensions. Mom feels like Dad isn't pulling his weight around the house, maybe, and Dad is maybe a little resentful that he has to pay the lion's share of the bills. We want to show that you, as a single father, also face these pressures in your relationship with your neighbor. Don't worry, we will fill in the narrative around the interview and portray the relationship as the wonderful thing that it is. But we need that tension, Mr. Clark. It's not a story without that tension." I hesitated, frowning. "All right," I said uncertainly. "If you're sure, I don't want to hurt Bobby's feelings." "You won't," said Jackie. "I promise. Now, you ready?" I nodded. "Roll it, Jim." "Well," I said, I always did feel like the relationship was a little lopsided. Here I am, I'm buying food for 3 kids, and only one of them is mine. And Bobby, he buys food for 3 kids, and 2 of them are his." "Gold," said Jackie. "But I just want to stress that Bobby is..." "Okay, Mr. Clark, that's everything we need. Tune in tomorrow about 6:15 p.m. to watch the segment. I can't thank you enough for your time." "Sure," I said, feeling lightheaded again. "And I mean it," said Jackie, as Jim turned and walked back to the news van with his camera. "If I weren't married..." She winked, and I watched her walk away. I kept that image of her behind swaying down by my driveway in my mind, and a few minutes later in the shower, I used it to help release the intense and mounting pressure that I was feeling that morning. The next day I went to pick the kids up at school, but Bobby's kids weren't there. Only Tommy, my son, was. "Where are the boys?" I asked him as he got into my car. "Bobby picked them up at lunch," said Tommy. He looked scared." "That's weird," I said, more to myself than to Tommy. "He didn't mention anything to me." "I think something's wrong, Dad." "No, buddy," I said, pulling out of the parking lot. "I'm sure they're fine. Probably just wanted to treat the kids." I'll admit, I felt a little pissed off. If they were off doing something fun, why hadn't Bobby taken Tommy? But then I thought about how much easier it would be taking care of just 1 kid that night, rather than 3, and I calmed down. We got home, ate dinner, and then I turned on the TV at 6:14 p.m. Jackie was sitting at the anchor's desk, as the anchor was finishing something up. "Understand that you have some footage possibly relating to the case to share with our viewers?" "Well," said Jackie, looking serious and sad, "I can't say anything about the case, but yes, I do have some footage related to the family. You spoke with Robert McHugh's neighbor shortly after Mr. McHugh picked up his children at school. Is that right?" "That's correct," said Jackie, looking into the camera. "And it's not my place to make accusations. I've spoken with the police about this, and well, The footage was for a segment that we had planned on single fathers. As such, it's within our rights to air the footage. But, well, all that I can say is that when I arrived at Mr. Clark's house, something seemed off. What do you mean? He seemed very distraught, said Jackie. Well, that's all that I can say. My God, let's just air the footage. I sat on the couch next to Tommy, my brain scrambling to figure out what I was witnessing. Why did they say that bit about Bobby picking up the kids? Why did she say that the interview happened that day instead of the one before, when it had actually happened? Why the fuck were they talking about the police? Then the screen filled up with an image of me, looking like shit in my bathrobe. So how do you feel now that the boys are gone? Asked Jackie, on the screen. Well, to be honest, I said, up there on the TV. I'm a little relieved. Sometimes it gets a little overwhelming and, 3 boys, just non-stop energy, and they don't listen to you. I just need a break, and now I get one, and I get to regather myself. I watched as I went on to explain the relationship that I had with Bobby, and how we had worked it out at the park down the street. The screen cut back to the anchorman. Is that the same park where the bodies of the McHughes were discovered? He asked. Jackie appeared to shudder. Yes, she said. Then it cut back to the footage. Well, I was saying, I always did feel like the relationship was a little lopsided. I mean, here I am, I'm buying food for 3 kids, and only one of them is mine. And Bobby, he buys food for 3 kids, and 2 of them are his. I never got to watch the end of the segment. There was a loud knock on the door. "This is the police," said a loud voice. "Open up, Mr. Clark. We need to talk." You have to believe me. I didn't do it. It happened just like I said. I was interviewed by Jackie Ling the day before the McHughes were slaughtered and cut to pieces in the park. She knows this, but she's claiming that the interview happened after the murder, and the cameraman is backing her up. Logs from the station back her up too. The only footage that remains is the bit that was shown on TV. The rest of it, the parts that had all of the exonerating context, has been deleted. They found a large knife at the crime scene that has my prints on it. But Bobby and I borrowed things from each other all of the time. The killer, the real killer, could have taken it from Bobby's home and planted it there. I've explained all of this to my lawyer. He says that I'm best off confessing and taking the best deal I'm offered, though he's doubtful that I'll be offered anything. But that's bullshit, because I didn't do it. I don't know who did it, but I know that Jackie Ling and her cameraman are lying. My lawyer says that there's no case there. No connection between them and the McHughes. I haven't seen Tommy since I was arrested. He's staying with my sister in Maryland. She's the only one who believes me. She says that I need to get this story out there, get the public on my side. I mean, my lawyer says that it's bad out there. After that segment aired, everyone from town wants my head. But my sister is hopeful that if I get this out there to the broader public, things could change. So I'm writing this all down and sending it out to her. I hope that you believe me. I want to give a huge thanks to last month's $5 and up patrons. Jeffrey B., Viva Bavaria 1516, Melted Dre, Jeffrey W. Jr., Isaiah A., Laura H., Devil's Advocate, King Baby Trashmouth, Lamar C., Cooper S., Divided by Zero, Zero, Kenneth S., Snowboy. and all the other $5 and up and $2 patrons on screen as well. All of your support makes these narrations possible, and I appreciate it a ton. If you'd like to join these lovely ghouls, I'd appreciate it if you check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you'll get an exclusive narration that will never, ever be uploaded to my channel. Usually, one a bit too extreme for YouTube. So that's at least one extra video every month for just $1, if not more. For $2 a month, you'll get thanked in the end scroll of every video, and for just $5 a month, I'll shout you out at the end of multiple videos a month personally. You also get exclusive Discord roles for those perks as well. If you'd like to chat with me for a bit, you can join me on a monthly live stream for just $10 a month and get a signed merch sticker for $25 a month. And if you're in the market for some horrifying shirts and hoodies, you can head on over to my Teespring store in the description as well. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at @2ndClancy. I want to thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time. Have a good night, everybody. Cheers.